Assalamu alaikum and very good evening, class. Hope you're all doing well. Let's start our today's lecture, which is Core Mixed Method Designs, which is chapter number 3 from the book Designing and Conducting Mixed Method Research, third edition by Jhon Creswell and Plano Clark. Today we'll try to learn about the core mixed methods designs in mixed method research. There are 6 types of core mixed method designs to deal the different type of studies and to conduct the different types of studies and to see the different phenomena very deeply in the very different context. Today we'll try to learn about the different type of designs which the researchers use to conduct the different contextual studies. First is convergent parallel design. Second one is explanatory sequential design, and the third one is exploratory sequential design. Fourth one is embedded design. Fifth one is transformative design and multi-phase design. We'll see them one by one. First of all, we'll see the convergent parallel design. We'll see its purpose of choosing this design and the structure of this design, advantages to adopt this design, and what are the procedures in such kind of studies to using these designs. First of all, we'll see the purpose of this design. Purpose of adopting this design is to compare and contrast the qualitative and the quantitative data which are collected simultaneously. In these studies, in these designs, the researchers collect the data simultaneously. They develop the tools different, like for the qualitative sections, they develop the interview protocols, and in the quantitative sections, researchers develop questionnaires, and simultaneously they can collect the data. Like first, they will collect the data in the section quantitative section, and then after collecting that data quantitative section, they can collect the data in the qualitative section too. There is no hard and fast rule to conduct the. Actually, in this design, a researcher is independent to collect the data simultaneously. Whether that he can collect the qualitative data first and the quantitative data first, simultaneously, side by side, the researchers can conduct the data to validate and corroborate results from different methods. It's also a second purpose. Now we'll see the structure of this kind of studies, which are followed this kind of convergent parallel design. This design develops separate qualitative and quantitative research component. As I told before, in this research design, researchers develop the different components. For the qualitative data, they develop interview protocol, focus group discussions, and so on. And in quantitative sections, the researcher conduct the questionnaires to collect the numerical data. Data collection, collect data analysis, collection of qualitative and the quantitative data simultaneously. As we talked before, the data analysis analyze qualitative and quantitative data separately. In this design, researcher is supposed to analyze the data separately. Like the researcher will collect the data, qualitative data, and analyze the qualitative data separately, and the researcher will conduct the quantitative data and will be analyzing the quantitative data separately. Then the researcher compare and contrast both results and make findings at the time of integration, like compare and combine results during the interpretation phase. Then finally, the reporting present findings in a manner that highlights the integration of both data types. Then there are some advantages to adopt this design. It provides a comprehensive understanding by merging different perspectives. It validates findings across different data sources, and then it's an efficient in terms of time as both type of data are collected simultaneously. We'll see an example. A study examining the effectiveness of a new teaching methods might use survey like quantitative data to measure student outcomes, and focus group qualitative data to understand students' experiences and perceptions. In the quantitative sections, the respondent will be answering in numerical forms, which the 5 or 4 or more than 5 options will be there, and the researcher and the respondent just supposed to tick one option as per their perception or their experience. But in the quantitative section, filling the questionnaire, the respondent has very limited options to give their viewpoints regarding that selected options. But in the qualitative section, to conduct the qualitative section, to mix the qualitative section in this, is to get the information more deeper in shape of uh, interviews and in shape of focus group discussions for taking their viewpoints on the selected items. It's a very good example to understand this design more clearly, more deeply. Now we'll see the procedure of conducting a study by using the convergent parallel design. Identify the research problems and develop research questions, the first task. Then design the qualitative and the quantitative data collection instruments. Then collect qualitative and quantitative data concurrently. Then analyze each data set separately using appropriate research methods. Then compare and contrast the findings to identify similarities and differences. Then integration of the results to draw a comprehensive conclusion. And finally, write the report emphasizing the integrated insights. We have covered the convergent parallel designs, which was the first one. And now we are moving to the explanatory sequential design. We'll see the explanatory sequential designs. And first of all, we'll see the purpose. Its purpose is to explain or elaborate quantitative results with the qualitative data. I'll say again, to explain the quantitative results with the qualitative data, to provide a deeper understanding of unexpected or complex quantitative findings. It means to support the quantitative findings, researcher conduct the qualitative test too. Purpose of merging this design, purpose of using the qualitative research method in this design is to strengthen the results taken from the quantitative data. To support the findings of quantitative section, researcher conducts the qualitative test too. Then its structure, its design is to conduct quantitative research followed by the qualitative research. In this, the collection of quantitative data will be conducting first, then analyze the quantitative data, the findings from the quantitative studies. From the quantitative sections, a researcher is supposed to conduct the qualitative studies to collect the data from the qualitative tool to strengthen the results, the findings of the quantitative results. Then analyze the quantitative data to identify significant findings or pattern. Then qualitative follow-up. Use qualitative methods to explore quantitative results, to explore, to strengthen, to validate the quantitative results. The qualitative section is to be followed for the validity of the study. Then the integration. Interpret how qualitative data explains or expand upon quantitative findings. Then present the integrated results, highlighting the sequential nature. In this research design, a sequence is maintained. There are some advantages to adopt this sequential design. It allows for initial broad analysis with the quantitative data. The qualitative data can provide context and deeper insight into the quantitative findings. It's useful for exploring unexpected results or complex relationships. We'll see an example. A study examining the effectiveness of a new teaching methods might be using surveys in the quantitative sections to measure student outcomes and focus group qualitative to understand the student experiences and perceptions. First, a researcher will be collecting the data by using the quantitative, like a questionnaire, by conducting some surveys, Then to support that findings, to support the results, the researcher is supposed to conduct the some interviews or some focus group discussions or some observations to validate the findings taken from the quantitative sections. To support the quantitative findings, the qualitative section is developed in this research design. Then we'll see the procedure, identify the research problems and develop research questions. It's design and administer the quantitative instruments like surveys and tests. Then analyze quantitative data to identify the key findings. Then its design is to design a qualitative instruments like interview guides based on the quantitative results. Then collect the qualitative data to explore or explain quantitative findings. Then integrate the qualitative and the quantitative data using interpretation. Then at the in the report writing, the results emphasizing how qualitative data uh, strengthen the quantitative results. We have done the two core mixed method designs, and now we are moving to the exploratory sequential designs. We'll see the purpose. To explore a phenomenon with qualitative data and then generalize finding with the quantitative data. Like a researcher has conducted a study by using the qualitative research method by conducting some interviews or might be focus group discussions or might be observations. Then to generalize the findings. In the qualitative research, the sample size is very limited, while in the quantitative studies, the sample size is big enough and to generalize any theory. In the qualitative sections, we develop theory, and in the quantitative sections, we test the theories to generalize population, to develop and test new theories or instrument. By conducting the qualitative studies, we develop theories, while to test the theories, we use the quantitative sections, quantitative research methods. Qualitative studies study the phenomenon in depth, vertically, while the quantitative studies see the phenomena horizontally, widely, generalized. So we develop the theories in a quantitative study, in a qualitative studies, and we test the theories in the quantitative studies. Its design is to conduct the qualitative studies first, followed by the quantitative research. To collect the qualitative data first, then analyze the qualitative data to identify themes and patterns, like generation of a theory. To generate a theory, the researcher first conduct the qualitative section and analyze and squeeze some results. Then these results are studied, are tested through the quantitative studies. Then the quantitative follow-up, design quantitative instruments based on the qualitative findings. After collecting the quantitative data, the integration interpret how quantitative data supports or refine qualitative findings. Then present the integrated results, emphasizing the exploratory nature. There are some advantages to using this research design. It allows for in-depth exploration of a topic, and it facilitates the development of quantitative instrument based on the qualitative insights. It helps in building theories or models that can be tested quantitatively. Now we'll see an example. A researcher studying student performance might first analyze the test scores in the quantitative sections and then conduct interviews with students and teachers in the qualitative sections to understand the factors influencing their performance. It's a very simple example. I think I don't need to give some more explanation. And now here comes to the procedure. Identify the research problem and develop research questions as usual. And the time of data collection qualitative data through methods like interviews, focus group discussions, or observations are made. Then qualitative data to identify the key themes and to construct. Then analyze the qualitative data to identify the key themes or the constructs. Then the development of the quantitative instrument based on the qualitative findings. Then collection of quantitative data or to test or generalize the qualitative insights. theories or findings. Then at the time of analyze the quantitative data to validate or refine qualitative findings. Then integration of the results and reports are the findings, highlighting how qualitative data inform the quantitative phases. Here we have done the three sections: the convergent parallel design, the explanatory sequential design, and the exploratory sequential designs. Now here comes to the embedded design. Purpose of embedded design is to address different research questions within a single study. Second is to provide supplementary data that enhances the primary research method. Here we'll see the structure. Its design is to integrate qualitative and the quantitative data within a single study, with one method playing a supportive role. Now here comes to the structure. Its design is to integrate qualitative and the quantitative data within a single study, with one method playing a supportive role. The data collection, collect primary data, either qualitative or the quantitative. There is no boundness to conduct the qualitative first or the quantitative first. It's researcher choice whether he or she collect the qualitative data first or the quantitative data first. It's only up to the researcher, along with the supplementary data. Data analysis, analyze both data sets separately. Then interpret and integrate the findings. Interpret how the supplementary data inform or support the primary data. What is now it's the time of integration. Interpret how the supplementary data informs or support the primary data. What is the primary data and the supplementary data? The primary data is that if the researcher conduct the qualitative study first, it collects the qualitative data first. Then to support the finding of the qualitative section, the researcher conducts the quantitative sections too. So the qualitative section, the qualitative data collection or the method will be considered the primary data, and the quantitative data, which is in support of the qualitative findings, would be called supplementary data. Then it presents the findings in a way that reflects the integration of both data types. At the time of finding, at the time of reporting, the integration would be made, and the data will be clarified in the both sections and will be compared it collectively to present the finding in a more reflective way. It will strengthen the studies. Its advantages, here are some advantages of this design. It provides a comprehensive understanding by addressing multiple research questions. It enhances the primary method with the supplementary insights, as I discussed before. It's efficient in addressing the complex research problems or within a single study. Now we'll see an example to understand it more in a more understandable way. A study on the impact of the new educational program might primarily use test score in the quantitative sections. Then to measure effectiveness, we also using classroom observations in the qualitative sections to understand the implementation process. I think it's a very simple and clear example. So let's move on. It's identify the primary research problem and supplementary questions. Related to the primary sections, the supplementary questions are arise to solve the mysteries, to solve the complex phenomena, to make it more understandable and easy to understand. Its design is the primary and the supplementary data collection instruments, and it collects both primary, quantitative, and supplementary, like qualitative data, concurrently or sequentially. There is no hard and fast rule that the researcher would conduct the quantitative first or the qualitative first. It's up to researchers flexibility that what he decides to choose the primary data, whether that the quantitative or the qualitative, just like the supplementary data, whether that would be qualitative and the quantitative too. And analyze each data set separately using appropriate methods and integrate the findings to provide a comprehensive interpretations. And it's report the results highlighting how the supplementary data enhancing the primary findings. Yes, here is a very important point. At the time of discussion, at the time of findings or report writing, a researcher has to highlight or has to show the results in a more clear form, that how the supplementary data has supported the primary data. What was the reasons? And the researcher has to show the strong findings in order to show that why the embedded design were needed to conduct this study. Now we have covered the four core mixed method designs, and now we are moving to the transformative design. One thing is about the transformative and the multi-phase design is these two designs are specially designed by the Creswell and the Plano Clark in order to conduct, to phase, to study the more complex and the more different context of the contextual studies. Like now we'll see that transformative design. Its purpose is to address the social justice issues and advocate for marginalized populations, to use a theoretical framework to guide the research process. Main purpose of using this design are these. It's flexible in the timing. Its timing is flexible and can be concurrent or sequential. There is no hard and fast rule, just like embedded design. It's the researcher's choice to conduct any study like qualitative or quantitative first, and the quantitative first or the qualitative later. And its priority is to guide a theoretical framework. A theoretical framework is developed to conduct a study by using these transformative designs, and often given equal opportunity to the both types of data. And the researcher is bound to follow the developed theoretical framework. Then at the time of integration, data is integrated to address the research questions within the framework. Here are some advantages. It empowers marginalized group by the focusing on their experiences and perspectives. It provides a framework. Great now. It provides a framework for understanding complex social issues, efficient in addressing complex research problems within a single study. Now we'll see an example. Now, it provides a framework for understanding the complex social issues, as I told before. It's efficient in addressing the complex research problems within a single study. Now we'll see an example. A study using feminist theory might collect survey data on gender discriminations in the quantitative sections and conduct in-depth interviews with women to explore their personal experiences and coping strategies in the qualitative sections. And now here's the procedure. It defines the research questions within a theoretical framework and the data collection. Collect the qualitative and the quantitative data either concurrently or sequentially. There is no hard and fast rule. Analyze of the data analyzed within the context of the theoretical framework. A researcher is bound to stay in the theoretical framework, which is designed at the time of conducting the studies at the time within the context of the theoretical framework, which was developed at the very beginning of the study, then integrate the findings to address the research questions and theoretical considerations. And then the report writing, reports and the results emphasizing the implications for social justice and advocacy. To explain the social justice cases to conduct such kind of complex studies, this research design, like transformative design, is more helpful and very good enough to conduct such set of studies and to deal with the very complex phenomena. And now we've done the 5 of them, and now we're moving to the multi-phase design, which is on the 6th number. Purpose of conducting the multi-phase design is to address the complex research questions through multiple phases of data collection and analyze, to adapt and refine research questions and methods over time. Structures, timing, multiple phases, each phase building on the previous one. It means every next phase would be conducted based on the previous one. Then its priorities to varies depending on the phases, can shift between qualitative and the quantitative sections. At the time of integration, findings from each phase from subsequent phase. As I told, the next phase would be followed by the previous one. Here are some advantages. It allows for adaptation or refinement of research methods and questions. It provides a comprehensive and evolving insights over time. It's efficient in defining such problems and methodology. Now we'll see an example from some studies, a longitudinal studies, because it's a multi-phases studies which would be falling in the longitudinal studies on community health might begin with the focus group to identify the key health concerns, the qualitative first, followed by a survey to measure the prevalence of these concerns in the quantitative sections. Like the quantitative section is followed by the qualitative section and subsequent phase to evaluate the impact of intervention over time. I think you got my point. You got the point of phases, and it's very clear. If it's not, raise your questions. It defines overreaching the research questions and plan multiple phases. It conducts the initial phase of data collection and analyze qualitative and the quantitative studies, use findings to inform the next phase of data collection and analyze. It continues with the multiple phases as needed, integrating findings from each phase. At the time of report, it combines the results, highlighted the evolution of insights and understandings like all the findings are conducted from the different phases would be presented in a very presentable way, in a very easy and clear manners to show, to highlight the main findings which were evolved through conducted this by using these research designs. We have covered all the designs. Now here comes to the conclusion. All the mixed method research designs offer flexibility and depth, following researchers to address complex research questions with a combination of qualitative and the quantitative data. Each design has specific purposes, structures, advantages, and procedures to conduct the studies, to adopt them that cater the different research needs. These designs help provide comprehensive, validative, and the context-rich insights into the research problems. These research designs help the researchers to conduct the different kinds of research uh, to solve the different kinds of research problems from the different context, and it makes very easy for the researcher to solve the very complex problems and to conduct the studies, the validated studies in a more good and effective manners. Here comes to the findings. It's a time of discussion and recommendations. Thank you very much. I'm there to answer your queries. Please raise your questions. Write me in the chat box. I'm there to listen you all. And for those of you who are watching this lecture through the YouTube and other social media platforms, you are requested if you like this lecture, if the content is very helpful for you, then please give a thumbs up. If you like this content, please like and subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon so that you can get all my new upcoming lectures. And if you have any query, any suggestion, please write me in the comment box. I always welcome your comments and try to learn, try to make my work more better. It supports me. Thank you.